Hi, I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And we'd like to welcome you to the very first episode
of our true crime podcast, The Criminal Crack.
The Criminal Crack is here.
It's finally landed.
It's launch day.
It is launch day, and it's also May the 4th. So for all you nerds out there,
like us,
May the 4th be with you.
It's Star Wars Day.
I don't know what that voice was, but anyway.
We did try to get Yoda to come and help us out with the podcast,
but he refused, so we just have a chair that sounds like Chewie when it squeaks instead.
It doesn't sound like Chewie, it sounds like I have flatulence.
Because she's such a lady.
So we are childhood best friends based in the north of Scotland.
And we met on many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Many Star Wars days ago.
Yeah.
We met on a play school trip to a beach. But we went to different play schools, and I think, play schools were smaller back then. They must have been.
They were.
We met on the beach. And Gemma did something quite unique, which I was completely enamoured with, I suppose. So, she has to explain her sitch, her uniqueness.
I do. So I was born with a cleft lip and palate and had quite a sizable hole in the roof of my mouth, which meant I could do certain tricks.
And she impressed me by blowing, I think it was strawberry milkshake, out of her nose. So in through the mouth, out through the nose, and that was it. I was smitten. It was wonderful.
She was, and she was wearing an outfit that was just stunning.
My I think it was hand knitted Tender Heart Bear Care Bears jumper. Yeah.
And we're both still obsessed with things like Care Bears, My Little Ponies, and anything nostalgic.
Pretty much anything nostalgic, anything 80s particularly, is just a bit, it's comforting, isn't it? It's our comfort things.
It is. And as we've got older and now we live in the same area, we have realised that we're incredibly into true crime, both of us.
We are. It's I called it a morbid curiosity, but you wouldn't necessarily say morbid, would you?
No, I really think that if you've got a morbid curiosity, maybe you're looking for tips to be part of an episode.
Rats, I've given myself away.
Rats. Before we kick off with our first episode, I'd like to make a couple of things clear regarding how we see the Criminal Crack running, and what I'd personally like to achieve. So true crime podcasts do undoubtedly fall into the category of entertainment. However, when cases are covered respectfully and with the victim being at the forefront of a podcaster's mind, they can and should be more than this. For me, true crime pods that can do this serve a higher purpose. They can, of course, provide insight into why and how something has happened, but they can also educate people on how to avoid falling prey to a perpetrator. This unfortunately comes too late for the victims we will be discussing, but the legacy they leave could save others, which is kind of humbling. When sharing cold cases or those of the missing, podcasts and their information can lead to and will continue to lead to new witnesses coming forward who may not have realised that they have valuable information they did not know they even had. Think about it. Imagine you're on holiday the day something happens, but you've got no idea about it as it's not on your news. You know how there's like regional news, so you don't hear about it. But years later, a podcast is covering the crime that happened that day and you suddenly realise that you have information. It might sound unlikely, but it has happened. On this note, for those who consume a lot of true crime, such as Victoria and I, we might make links between cases in different locations that people too close to the case have missed, and this has happened before in solved cases. For example, in America, because the way their policing works, each state obviously has their own sort of police department, so if something might happen in one state and then on the other side of the country, the same MO is used, and for a long time those wouldn't get linked because they didn't talk to each other.
Was it? It was just... It almost, I mean, when you listen and when you watch things, it almost seems like there's a rivalry between police forces, which there never should be, because, you know, what's to stop somebody crossing over a county?
Well, exactly, and a lot of killers do it. Not that we'll only be talking about killings, but I think it's really important. So podcasts now share information so people hear about it from all sides of the world. And if you think about the Gabby Petito case, for example, you know, when Gabby Petito went missing, it was massive. It was all over the world. I mean, we heard about it in Scotland.
Yeah, it was shared.
It was everywhere. And this actually led to her body being found because it was so widely shared. People were like amateur sleuths. I wouldn't say we're sleuths, but amateur sleuths then started looking into things and using Google Maps and all sorts, and they actually found where her body was.
Well, I think somebody had dash cam
They
footage
did.
of the van, didn't they? Of the van parked, and that was like, I think they figured out the time was she was potentially still alive then, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't.
Was she not?
No.
Was that...
What had happened was there was the evening of, so if you've ever seen the footage from the police, you know, when the van got stopped and they got pulled over at the side of the road.
When they'd had a domestic.
Yeah, and they got separated and they were told to spend the night apart, and she did go and spend the night away from Brian, and actually I think she'd come to realise that she was in a bad situation, unfortunately too late at this point, and it was the next day that she went missing.
Wow.
It's just awful.
That is awful. That's not the case we're covering though, but...
It's not, but there's so many cases that you can draw from one into another, and again, that can only be helpful.
And I think the information that you hear in podcasts, we will research it well, and it could potentially lead, find its way to something useful.
I just don't think, I think done properly, podcasts can never really be a negative thing. So we'll be providing all our references to you at the end of each episode. If we're ever incorrect about information, you know something, you've got a better source, then feel free to let us know. We're never going to be offended or upset by that. We want to learn more.
And also I think we're going to try and blog as much as we can, maybe on Facebook initially, but we'll try and put everything...
You're going to blog as much as you can. I am planning to do more video footage, so I would really like to talk about a few things, such as the Laurie Vallow / Daybell case. That's her third trial's just happened, and I would like to talk about Karen Reid, who's in retrial at the moment. There's so much, but these cases are like really long and ongoing, and I'm not ever going to do an episode on them because there's so much information, and there's some brilliant podcasts out there that have been doing it for years.
I think we're keen for people to interact as well, and
definitely
give us any cases that they think, oh, have a look at this one, discuss it. Actually, even if you're the family and you want something highlighted,
yep,
happy to do that. Absolutely.
Exactly, we're very open to it.
Tell us. We'll do something.
So what we're going to be doing is fortnightly episodes, and each episode one of us will be telling the other a story, but we won't tell the listener what they're going to be hearing about until the day that we record.
So when I present a case, Gemma won't know,
yep,
and vice versa. So all the reactions will be genuine and real, and hopefully we'll be respectful of the cases too.
We will be respectful, but you might find that we will add to it. I don't know what I'm trying to say, actually.
Gemma's got a foul mouth and she might react
naturally,
which is good. We like people to be who they are.
But what I was going to say is if family members get in touch, it doesn't mean that we won't work together on an episode here and there, so that we can team up and do the research. Anyway, today's my turn. So the case I've chosen to cover as my first is actually one of the reasons I decided to stop doing my true crime show on local radio. Did you know I had a show, Victoria?
I did know you had. I listened. My son did the music for your show.
He did, but he wouldn't do the music for this one.
Oh, he's still thinking about it. He's on the fence.
Needs to get his butt off the fence. But what I find, so my shows were once a month and I only had 15 minutes. And while I was looking for cases to cover, I found this case, but I just didn't think 15 minutes was going to do it justice. And though I did do mini-series, people are going to forget in between each month.
Yeah, it's not as effective.
Exactly.
And some cases that you just owe them more than 15 minutes, don't you?
All cases, really.
Yeah, all cases, absolutely.
So I decided that to give up the radio show and to start a podcast. And so I got straight on it in 2023. And then the Criminal Crack was born.
Criminal Crack was born.
I left it to nurture itself for 2 years.
But we're here.
We are here now.
Landed.
We have, on this special day.
Are we ready to get into the story or the case?
Go on then. I have been obsessed about it for ages, so I've got a lot of information.
Well, you tell me. What's the crack, Gemma?
Today I'm taking you back to Halloween 2014, so Friday the 31st of October, and to a town in Aberdeenshire called Fraserburgh.
Local.
Very local. Or, more fondly to those locally, it's known as the Broch. which I'd really like to hear Victoria say, because...
She's mocking me.
Say Ballandalach.
Belinda Lock.
Say the broch.
The broch. The broch.
That's it. That's better.
I'm so sorry. Apologies, Scotland people.
All references, as I said, will be available on our Facebook page, but I did rely heavily on the Press and Journal newspaper, which is an Aberdeenshire paper, and a documentary created by the P&J Investigates team. So they're the Press and Journal, but it's like a little subsection, called Missing in the Broch. Located around 40 miles away from the city of Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland, nestled into the district of Buchan, the Broch is famous for being one of the biggest shellfish ports in Europe and proudly boasts its status as the biggest in Scotland.
I didn't know that. And I love shellfish.
You do love selfish?
Shellfish. Yeah, selfless or selfish.
I had scallops the other day.
Oh,
nom, nom,
nom,
nom,
nom,
nom,
nom,
nom.
nom.
According to the 2011 census, the population sat at around 13,100 people. For those of you who don't know, the census is a population survey that's conducted every 10 years, which collects data about households and town populations, etc. That's all you really need to know for this case.
Okay.
Of those 13,100, sorry, I struggle with numbers. Of these 13,100 people, I'm going to talk to you about one of them and what we know about what happened to him on Halloween night 2014. On the night where children dress for going out guising or trick-or-treating, and adults, some dressed up, some not, also go out for nights of festivities, Fraserburgh-born 20-year-old Shaun Ritchie, also known as Stoney, was heading out to meet up with some friends. Now, he wasn't in a costume. Instead, he opted for a grey hoodie, grey skinny jeans and trainers. Shaun stood at 5'9" and had a good head of brown hair, which I'm not sure why I felt the need to say, but he did have a good head of
That's what you
hair.
say when a baby's born. He had a good head of hair.
A good hair of head?
A hair of head.
He was, and he was a good-looking boy. Again, don't really need to say that, but just to give you some context, I will be putting pictures up on the socials as well. He left the home that he shared with his mum Carol and his younger sister Nicole on Watermill Road in Fraserburgh and made his way to town by foot. So what started the same as a normal night for most 20-somethings in the UK at that time ended up being the prelude to the biggest manhunt ever undertaken in Scotland at the time. Now, I have to say, I really hate the use of manhunt here, as to me that makes it sound like they were looking for a fugitive or a criminal. But it's how it was reported, but I don't like it.
It's Harrison Ford.
I'm not going to say it again.
Okay.
Ever.
What, manhunt?
That word. It's gone. I'm not saying it ever again.
She's erased it from her dictionary.
I have. I've done that with a few words. So by all accounts, Shaun was close to his family, and while he lived with his mum, in the last few years he'd gotten close to his father, Charlie Reid. Now, if you are listening and you know this case, you'll have seen Charlie and Nicole in the news a lot, as they've tried in vain to find Shaun and bring him home. Shaun didn't know his dad as a child, meeting him at age 16 for the first time when Charlie approached him explaining that he believed that they were father and son.
Oh.
I know. From the documentary, we find out that Shaun took this information and for the next year tried to verify it maybe and get his head round it. And at 17, he told Charlie that he would like to know for sure. I can only imagine what that feels like, having somebody come up to you and say...
For a 16-year-old boy as well, when they've got so much else going on and hormones and all the rest
Puberty's
of it.
a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Charlie probably waited till he was 16 because at that age you're encroaching on adulthood and
I think it's that threshold, isn't it, where you're allowed to sort of start making your own decisions.
Yeah.
So I guess he was arming him with the information to say, I'm here if you want it.
Yeah, and I don't think it sounds like Charlie wasn't pushy. He said, this is what I think. And he just waited for Shaun to come back from what I can make out. So the pair did DNA tests and seemed to have been delighted to find out that Charlie was right. So over the next 3 years, The pair spent time together chatting, getting to know each other and listening to music, and they'd obviously built a bond, as Charlie, who lived and worked in Saudi Arabia, was trying to help Shaun get work there too at the time that we're talking about.
Okay.
Also in the documentary, we meet friends of Shaun's, local twins Liam and Danny Thane. They shared that because of the type of town the Broch is, everyone would have known Stoney or known of him, describing him as a bit of a joker, a funny guy who would tease you within an inch if you slipped up and you gave him the opportunity, basically, which I guess I'm a little bit like at times.
We know a lot of people like that, don't we?
Danny described him as quite a psychedelic kind of dude, which I really love. What an awesome way to be described by somebody.
That is cool. Yeah. I love that. I just think that's such a nice, like, for a bloke as well to say something like that. That's true affection, isn't it? That's friendship.
It is.
I think that's really cool.
It's sort of bantery, but bantery with a "I love you, mate."
A psychedelic dude is that's
awesome.
That's a nudge and a
yeah
man hug.
Bro. He also shared that Shaun was heavily into music such as Black Sabbath, AC/DC, 70s rock, The Clash and Neil Young, and if you got him talking it would likely be on this topic. He had quite a collection of t-shirts featuring the bands and artists he loved, and in a lovely memory his sister Nicole showed a top with The Clash on the front and reminisced about how he wore it to Tea in the Park one year and she wore it the next, and I don't know if everybody will know what Tea in the Park is. I love it.
That's really cute.
There's on the documentary, or was it when I was researching, there's a side-by-side picture as well.
Oh.
But for those of you who don't know, Tea in the Park was a festival, sort of like Glastonbury, that happened, I think it was in Kinross, but it doesn't happen anymore. And I think the tea was for...
I've heard of it, so
yeah,
it's quite big, wasn't it?
It was really big, and I think the tea was for tenants. I'm not advertising, but I think that's what the tea was for.
You just said it again.
Oh, don't.
Foul.
Explain.
So the letter that comes after S used to be used in an advert.
For pans.
For pans, yeah, for, cooking pans. And there was something on the advert with a man with a huge forehead, and when you said that letter, you would get a slap on the head, which was a foul. And it's something, this advert was from the 80s, I think.
Yeah, but we're the only people that do it. Nobody knows it.
Yeah, but it's weird. But we've carried it on throughout the years. And sometimes, depending on who you are that says that letter as well, Gemma will give you an almighty slap in the face, in the forehead.
You get whiplash.
You get whiplash. Yeah.
Now I'm wondering though, did your dad make this up?
Shame. What if he did? No, he didn't make
it up.
I've seen it. I think we looked it up on YouTube. Maybe we'll link it. Oh my
that
goodness.
would be a good
start
idea.
a trend.
It'll be like happy slapping. Please don't happy slap people.
No, don't do that.
So anyway, to go back to Shaun, it's clear to see that the siblings were close, despite him teasing Nicole that she was not to approach him when he was with his friends when she reached the age of going out to the pubs too, which I really like as well, because I didn't have brothers and sisters.
No.
I didn't grow up with brothers and sisters, and that's what I always wanted.
Yeah, my brother in the pubs, he used to be known as Paul Cheese because once he ate a catering block of cheese.
In one sitting?
In one sitting when he was worse for wear. And so when I started going to the pubs a couple of years later, I would enter a pub to the sort of onslaught of Little Miss Cheese.
Oh, did you?
And it was just like, yes, hello.
You've never told me that.
No. Yeah, Paul's Paul Cheese, and I was always Little Miss Cheese. So, it's great. It's like, learn my name, guys.
I have to say though,
nice.
when we were younger and we discovered we lived 2 doors down after the whole
play school
trip on the beach.
Yeah,
and we caused so much trouble. But anyway, one of the things we did was just harass your brother, remember? And I really liked it because it felt like, oh, this is what you're meant to do as a brother and sister, and he hated me.
Yeah, I think he hated both of us, to be honest.
Well, I would have.
We've grown on him, though.
Well. I had a go at him earlier today. Yep.
Yeah, on the phone, yep.
I wasn't on the phone to him. I'm not going to phone him. But he was on a phone call and I just got involved. Anyway, left without her big brother now for 10.5 years, Nicole, I know, so long, has paid tribute to him by having the motto he lived by, which is a quote from Neil Young, tattooed onto her back with a large guitar and Shaun's name underneath. The quote is, "Better to burn out than to fade away." And truly it does seem to be how he appeared to have lived, like all of us at that age, I think.
Yeah. He sounds like a really cool guy.
He does.
He sounds like I want to know him, you know?
Yeah, I think we could have been friends. I mean, we're too old to be friends with him, but
Yeah.
when's that stopped us? You friends, it's only at school, isn't it, that you stick with your own age?
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it?
Yeah, why were we conditioned that way?
I've got friends of all ages.
Me too, I've got friends in their 70s.
Yeah.
Down to
Toddlers.
early...
No, not really.
That makes you sound weird.
She goes and hangs out in the park.
No, don't put it on me. You go and hang out at the park. I can't believe you've just done that.
I actually do like the swings.
My bum's too big for a swing. Oh. But he would go out on a Friday night and not come home till Sunday when he was all partied out, and that wasn't unusual. And I think we've all kind of been there, you know. What's clear to me, though, from everything I've read, is that Shaun was loved and liked by many people who miss him dearly. So, going back to the night of the 31st of October, after he'd said goodbye to his mum and Nicole, he was seen in a convenience store called Cost Cutter in the... I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I did that so like local diet, Cost Cutter in the small fishing village of Sandhaven, which is beside Fraserburgh, and this was caught on CCTV, which I'm going to try to remember to put on our socials. From there he headed to the Balaclava bar on Shore Street, Fraserburgh, where he met in with some friends, including Danny Thane. This bar's still there and looks to me like one of those places where everyone ends up at some point on a weekend.
That's because it's the only thing they can say when they've... And actually probably anything sounds like that. After you've had a few.
I'd struggle to say.
Balaclava bar. Balaclava. Where are you going? Balaclava. Yep, Balaclava bar. Okay.
Yeah, so they just put people there, you think. The taxis were like, okay.
Yeah, we'll take them to that one.
Well, it really reminds me of nights out in Elgin at the Thunder Inn and High Spirits.
I missed all that, didn't I?
You did, but you came to Cat's Whispers with me and we did karaoke. And the Cat's Whispers is now a block of flats.
We sang Celine Dion.
We sang that and Perfect... Oh no, All Saints we did as well.
Never ever.
Because we did the bit at the beginning. A few questions that I need to know. I can still do the whole thing, but we're not going to.
No.
So it's one of those places where, you know, it was a pub that you could go in by yourself and you know you would meet in with people that you knew, which was downtown USA in Elgin.
She's giving the shout outs to all the Elgin places.
I am, aren't I? Sorry. And we know that Shaun met in with Danny that night. Danny explained that on that night he'd been out drinking with some other friends. He wasn't out with Shaun and had got himself into a bit of bother. He says himself he was off his nut.
Bit of bother, that's a bit vague.
It's very vague. But I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Blaming the full moon for his antics, so he was quick to assure the interviewer, and this did make me laugh. Oh, I'm not saying I'm a werewolf. So God knows.
That's what their first thought must have been.
I wonder how they looked at him when he said.
Yeah. Maybe they were sort of backing away slowly.
Yeah. He remembers seeing Shaun at the bar and he headed over and gave him a hug. And in the documentary, I got a bit teary at this point because you could see on his face he was thinking about that time.
That hug.
Aww. And that was the last time he ever saw Shaun.
Yeah. And you don't know at the time, do you? You don't know what those moments mean. Just cherish every moment, people.
Yeah, sometimes you have to stop and think about making sure that you do cherish time. But I think, well, for me, because I'm so heavily into true crime, I do think about it a lot. And I try to make sure that I tell people that I love them and stuff.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
So, why did we do those voices?
I don't know.
Carol, his mum, who I mentioned at the beginning, said she saw her son for the final time just after he'd been with Danny. He was heading to a Halloween party at a farm near Strichen, which is about 15 minutes away from the Balaclava bar. That's just to give you a little bit of context.
15 minutes by foot or?
By car.
Oh, okay.
By foot it would take you a lot longer than that. I think it was about 4 or 5 miles.
Oh, okay. Fair dues.
He was going to attend it with some pals, and as she watched him and his friends climb into the back of this van, she asked if he'd be home later and told him that his phone was still at home. And he reassured her saying, quote, "I'll be home later, don't worry about me," which is the name of this episode.
Yeah.
At this point, no one could have predicted, because nobody thinks like this, that there would be any need for anyone to actually worry that night. In the back of the van that night were Shaun and his friends Craig Gray, Scott Brown, John Foreman, Bartek Grabowski and Jay Ritchie, and Jay's no relation to Shaun despite them having the same surname. Up front driving was Neil Nuggs Robertson, and beside him was James Pipey Summers. And these two guys weren't in the group of friends. I'm not entirely sure why they ended up going with them, but this is what happened. So, leaving the Broch, the van travelled along the A981, and at some point in the journey, allegedly, according to Nicole in the documentary that I told you about, one of the boys in the back took a picture of himself with one of the others sitting next to him and put it on social media with the caption, "Halloween prank gone wrong."
Oh, wow.
Which is bizarre, given that they just got into the back of the van.
Do they know who was the other one in the picture?
Nope.
You don't know?
Nobody's said anything, and the post was really quickly removed and can't be viewed now.
Okay.
So I'm not able to tell you who posted it or who was next to him, but it was one of the 6 that I've previously
really weird,
mentioned.
isn't it?
It is, and I know everybody says if you put something on the internet it stays there forever, but I don't know how to find it, so... It's also been reported that during the journey there was something that happened which caused the driver to get a bit worked up and annoyed. And though the police say they believe this to be insignificant, I disagree with them, and I think you will too when you hear more. So just after 10 p.m, Neil Nuggs parked the van outside Kersey Hill Farm, located in the Greenburn area northwest of Strichen. He jumped out of the driver's seat and ran into the farmhouse. Now, there's a couple of things we need to discuss as things do get really unclear and I don't have the answers for them. So this farm belonged to Donald Robertson, which is Neil's brother, and it looks like whatever upset Neil, it made him go there to get back up.
So that wasn't the party farm?
Well, that's one of the questions we don't know. So I don't know if this is where the party was being held or if this was even the location that Shaun and his friends thought they were going to.
Oh, right, okay.
I can't establish if there was actually a party or was that the hoax in the social media post, but I don't understand what would be funny about...
Why would anyone be taking them out there if there wasn't a party?
No idea. And if there was a party at Kersey Hill, I can't find any evidence of anybody else who was at it, which makes me think that wasn't the party. Or was the hoax
Was
the altercation in the van and the running out afterwards?
I need to know more.
So do I. And I do know a bit more, but I'm not going to be able to make things massively clear for you because there's no information. During the subsequent investigation, it's been reported that when Nuggs ran into the farm, he quickly returned wielding an axe.
Oh.
Yeah, and the boys were climbing out the back of the van and probably panicking. The boys then scattered, running into the wilderness that surrounded the dwelling.
I'd be blooming running into the wilderness if somebody came out with an axe.
Me too, but I'd be terrified to not only be... I would be terrified of the axe, but I'd also be terrified of the fact that it was pitch black because it was October.
And running into the wilderness that you don't know.
Yeah, and you're in the middle of nowhere.
Jesus.
So, in a move that probably will haunt Shaun's friends for the rest of their lives, when they met up later, Craig, Scott, Jay, John and Bartek realised that Shaun was missing.
Oh no.
So 6 ran, 5 came back. As they've made their escape, the group seemed to have split up into 2, and there was a group of 3, and they assumed that the other group, which was a group of 2...
was also a group of 3.
Yeah. And so both groups thought that Shaun was with the other
Right.
group. I've no idea when they discovered this, but it really baffles me that they left the area without being sure everyone was there.
And you said that he didn't have his phone though.
He doesn't have his phone. His mum said his phone was in the house. So they ended up in the middle of nowhere. Shaun had no mobile, but we know that one of them did.
Right. What, because of the Facebook
Because of
post,
the
right.
social media post.
Okay.
So I'd like to know why there was no communication between the remaining 5. And, not to be a dick about it, but why on earth didn't they call the police at that point and say they'd been chased by somebody with an axe and one of them was missing? What happened to No Man Left Behind?
Yeah.
You
You'd
know,
be straight onto the police, wouldn't you?
well, you would have thought so. And I've been on nights out myself where someone's gone wandering or I've gone wandering. And the people you're out with always make sure that you come back. Like, they find you, they don't go, oh, Jem's not here.
What's that thing? Message when you get home.
Yeah,
You know.
and if you don't get that message, then you worry. But I don't know, so they were like 4 miles away from Fraserburgh. Did they get home and then suddenly realise that he wasn't there?
And obviously you said that'd be quite a walk as well. And obviously they weren't
Yeah,
in
hell
the
of a
van
walk.
going back. So
No.
that whole time they must have been
I don't know how long they waited before they found out he wasn't there.
They must have been thinking, where the hell is he?
You would have thought so, but I wouldn't have left there. Adding to this, by the way, another post allegedly went up on social media, and this one said, "Oh my OMG, thought I was going to die tonight, got hit by an axe," and then again it was quickly removed, and we don't know who posted it. So
there's another Facebook post
Yeah.
that's been removed. And
Yeah.
this says I got hit by an axe?
It said, "OMG, thought I was going to die tonight, got hit by an axe."
And their first thought is not to go to the police. What the hell were they doing?
That must have happened as they were scarpering. So you've left your friend where somebody's got an axe
Wow.
and has used it.
And it obviously means business.
Obviously.
It obviously wasn't just a, haha, it's Halloween. Look
It wasn't
at
like
me,
a
look
fake-
at me, I'm Leatherface kind of thing.
So to me, I think, why would you leave your friend to fend for themselves and not report it? Like, if you got away and you had a mobile, wouldn't you stay in the area hidden but phone for the police? Anyway, it wasn't until late in the day on the Sunday that Shaun's family were made aware that something happened, and Shaun hadn't been seen by anyone since running away from the farmhouse on Halloween night. So remember, Shaun being away all weekend wouldn't have caused concern for his family.
No, not
But-
if it was not out of character.
No, because he would do that quite regularly if he'd been like out drinking with his friends.
They had no cause for concern. That's
No, but the friends should have had. So Nicole, his sister, remembers that one of the friends from that night, we don't know which, came to the door and asked if Shaun had come home. This is on the Sunday. They went out on the Friday night. When they said no, they were told, "Oh, well, we're all worried. All the friends are worried," as they hadn't seen him either since a, quote, disturbance at the Kersey Hill farm. They didn't say what the disturbance was, but it's now come to light about Neil chasing them with the axe. And that didn't come out for a long, long time.
Jesus.
The family didn't know that.
That's...
So this set Carol into motion. She started calling people who may know where he was, and when nobody did, she reported him as missing to the local police on the evening of the 2nd of November 2014. So from the 31st till the 2nd. According to DI Martin McDougall, who featured on Missing in the Broch, a friend of Shaun's also reported him as missing, but again, we don't know who that was.
Why didn't they raise the alarm on the same night? I don't understand why.
Well, the bit that drives me a bit bonkers about this, and I've not written it down here, but on the documentary, the Thane brothers talk about how on, and I can't remember, don't quote me because I'm not entirely sure if they said it was on the Saturday. I think they did. They went up to the farm to have a shifty about to have a look, which makes me think, did they not want to alert the family yet because they thought, oh, he'll be somewhere, we're just... Like, they didn't want to worry the family. And
Right.
remember, the Thane brothers were not involved in this.
No.
They weren't out with them. But so obviously people in his friend group knew.
But they've obviously been back there, spoken about it, said
Yeah.
something's happened, because otherwise why would they even think to go look?
I know.
Ugh.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to do the right thing and not telling the family yet in case it was nothing. But
Yeah,
it
they
lost
didn't want them
valuable
to
time.
worry. Yeah.
The official search began on Monday the 3rd of November 2014 and would go on for several weeks before being scaled back and then ceased, which I'm going to tell you more about in a minute. But to keep the timeline semi in order, I'd like to first talk about something that came out later in the investigation. So, at some point in the hours between the boys setting off, running away from Kersey Hill Farm, as Neil Robertson chased them with an axe, and in the early hours of the 1st of November, 2 phone calls were made from the farm to the police. Now, initially, I believe these were made to 999, but as it turns out, during the documentary, that's incorrect. Both calls were made to the non-emergency number for the emergency services in the UK, which is 101. For years, I don't think till the documentary came out, people didn't know who had made the call. So the first call connected, but nothing was said. And the second call was someone reporting that there had been something going on at the farm, but help wasn't required. And for years, the content of this, as I say, content of the calls and the caller's name were not made public, but we now know the calls were made by Donald Robertson, the farm owner, and the brother of Neil. And nothing was checked out. The police never
Very
went.
suspicious.
It's weird.
Somebody phones and says nothing, and then somebody phones and says, "Oh no, not to worry."
Well,
that would instantly
most
get
sources,
my
yeah, your hackles up, you would think. Most sources say that the first call was asking for help, but the
Right.
second one was cancelling the help. But in the documentary, which they do seem to have a lot more information, it said that it was, I don't know whether the caller thought that it hadn't connected or something, and then thought to phone back in case. But then is that just in case the police then turn up?
Yeah, was that an attempt to keep them away then? Or was it during something that they've thought, all right, it's gone too far now. You could speculate all day.
Who knows? And before we get to the search, I just want to share how Charlie found out about Shaun's disappearance as well. So, as I say, Charlie was in Saudi Arabia for work, and he found out the same day that the search began, so on the 3rd, he found out that Shaun was missing via a Facebook Messenger message. It was from one of the boys, and they explained about Shaun basically the same way they did Carol and Nicole. And straight away, Charlie started planning to get back to Scotland as soon as he could.
That must have been horrific.
It must be hell. I think you would go between, oh my God, something's happened, and...
Or I'm going to get there and he's going to show up. And
he's just going to be sat there talking about AC/DC. Yeah.
Oh, that's...
With the first light of day on Monday the 3rd, the search did begin, and the local police hit the ground running. Shaun was declared a high-risk missing person, and this was for a few reasons. First of all, he went missing at night, in one of the worst times of the year for survival, and also it's Scotland, so it was incredibly cold, windy and rainy, so it's not ideal, especially for somebody who's out there with a hoodie and jeans on. He didn't have a jacket. Secondly, Shaun and his friends had spent the night before being separated drinking, which can seriously impair a person's thinking and decision making, as I'm sure we can all agree we've made stupid decisions when drunk.
Never.
And it dehydrates you, so again, not what you want when you're trying to survive, basically. And finally, the land they'd run into to escape Nugs and the axe is far from forgiving, especially in the pitch black.
It makes me think, did they know more, or is it just literally they're scared of him succumbing to exposure?
Well, I'll get into what the police think early doors, but I'll just tell you a little bit about the area. So it is classed as farmland, but it's not like lush green fields that you see with baby lammies and sheep and cows and all that in. It's basically unusable for animals or crops. And in fact, during the search for Shaun, a police officer broke his leg by slipping in the terrible conditions. It's miles and miles of land that's unkempt, boggy, full of water courses, that it's really deep water, and there's pooled water as well, which just sounds like hell to try and walk across. Do you remember?
It sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
It sounds awful.
It does.
But it makes me think, do you remember that time your dad took us eel catching? I don't know what we were doing. We were picking up eels.
That's called fishing for the rest of you.
We didn't have fishing rods, so it wasn't. We were picking them up with our hands, remember?
Get out of town. I never did that.
You did. And what your dad didn't realise was there was a bull in the field, remember? And we got chased. And it was like hard molehills all over that field.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of. That was terrifying. Your dad was a terrible babysitter for me.
We had fun.
We did. We didn't know that this wasn't normal. So while the search was started by local police, the case was really quickly handed to CID. They took it over on day 2. So obviously they were better equipped and more experienced in dealing with this kind of situation. But the local police had done really well so far getting things set up. The police were honest in sharing that they were really concerned for the safety of Shaun given the conditions. So at this point they were just thinking he's out there in the cold and the wet. When Charlie arrived in Scotland, he headed straight to the search area, and on his arrival he was taken to a car by a CID detective and told that they weren't holding out much hope that they would find Shaun alive, which is... And that's the 3rd, so he went missing. That's 4 days he's been missing, so it's understandable, but it must be bloody awful to hear.
Yeah, I can't imagine what a parent would be thinking and feeling in that moment.
No.
I don't want to imagine that.
No. There's no doubt the police put everything possible into this search. During the weeks that the search was ongoing, this is mental, okay, alongside local police and family and friends of Shaun, the following also participated. There was a specialist dive team to search bogs and watery areas. Mountain rescue teams were involved. 27 search dogs were involved, both police and mountain rescue search dogs.
How many?
27.
That's loads.
That's a lot of puppers.
That is a pack of puppers.
I'd like to just hang out with them. Police helicopters were involved, and there was also experts brought in regards forensics and soil, which we'll get into in a bit. So the search...
I don't want to get in the soil. Don't make
It's
me.
really interesting, though.
Okay.
I'm not going to put you in mud, but...
Okay.
Hey, remember when I washed my hair with mud last week? No,
I was just about to say that. You beat me to it.
I think I was about 5. I remember doing it. Do you remember outside the front?
I actually believe it was mud and rose petals.
No, this must be a different time because you know at the bottom of like a lamppost, it used to have like that gravelly, soily stuff at the bottom, and I remember washing my hair with it and like dead flies and everything. And then my mum put me in the bath, and there was like flies floating about the bath.
You're painting the most beautiful picture.
I don't do things like that now, often. Mm-hmm. The search began at the farmhouse, so Kersey Hill farmhouse, where Shaun was last seen, and the group searched out the way in a starburst kind of pattern. So for days nothing was found, but all the like different areas and different search teams were doing the same thing. So it was really, really methodical.
So 27 dogs didn't find anything?
No. I believe they used rescue dogs, but then they also used cadaver dogs, and nothing was found at all.
That's mental.
I mean, look, search dogs, depending on how they're trained, they've been good in some cases, they've been absolutely terrible in other cases, but 27 dogs and none of them picked up a scent of anything, to me, is just wild. And they did their best. They're good boys and girls. I love a dog in uniform. By day 3, the search was mainly focusing on land which was owned by a local farmer called Gordon Thompson, and he's got nothing to do with the case at all. He was just the owner of this horrible land. He had these steadings which he owned, and he made space there for the police to set up their mobile command centre, which I'd imagine they were quite grateful for.
Yeah.
This area was situated in the area between so if you're from the north of Scotland, you might know this. So the A98 from Fauconburst to Fraserburgh, you can either go up the left and go from Fauconburst to Fraserburgh, or you can go up the right and head to Keith and Huntly and Aberdeen. And then there was like a little cross bit, like a crossroad, which was the A981 from Fraserburgh to a town which I know you're going to love the name of. You'll be able to say it. New Deer.
New Deer.
Yeah.
I can say that one. Fabulous.
Although you sound like you're saying like naked ear. New Deer.
Oh God. New Deer.
Yeah. There's New Deer, and I'm sure there's a place called New Leeds.
I was going to say I want there to be an old deer.
There might be an old deer.
I'd love that.
I wish we had a truth and consequences like they do in America.
A geriatric deer.
According to an article by Joshua King, I used quite a few of his articles for the Press and Journal, which was published on the 6th of November. On day 3, quote, later in the afternoon, the dive teams were seen moving into the woods near a hillhead of Auchentoom, and this made people think, has something been found?
Okay.
So, I can tell you that Shaun's lighter was the first thing that was found, and it was in some grass, a distance away from the farmhouse, but closer to the farmhouse than anything else. I think it must have been before November the 6th, and I'll tell you why in a minute. It was found in a patch of grass that was all flattened down as though someone had been lying there. So all the grass around it was standing upright, I guess. And then there was this patch which had been pushed down. So it looks like possibly Shaun was lying there and trying to stay low so that he wouldn't be seen, and maybe the lighters fell out of his pocket.
Yeah, if Shaun still had his own lighter.
If Shaun still had his own lighter. Yeah, you're right. I actually, I started to think since I've been researching, was he definitely in the van by the time they got to the farm? But anyway, so the reason I said it was before November the 6th is because on the evening of the 7th, the police made a public statement saying that clothing had been found. And according to Charlie Reid, it was found a good bit further down the fields than the lighter, but I could be wrong about that. So, Shaun's sister Nicole has shared that on that one evening in the first week, there was a knock at the family's front door, and it was the police, and they had an evidence bag with them which contained a belt. She and Carol were asked if they recognised the belt, and they did, and they believed it was Shaun's and were sure about it because he'd only bought it the week before, which is another bit that makes me sad. You know, he was buying belts the week before, and now... Then a day later there was another knock on the door, and this time it was the police again, but this time in the evidence bags they had a soiled grey hoodie, muddy-soled trainers, and... Oh, sorry, I thought there was something else. So Nicole and Carol were able to verify that, yes, they were also Shaun's. So the hoodie was described by Nicole as being wet and covered in mud from the waistband up to around the mid-rib section, which I'm not entirely sure if I've invented a mid-rib, but sort of like...
Sounds delicious.
Like, if you put your zip maybe on a hoodie to halfway down, maybe to about there, that was all covered in mud.
Your sternum, I think, probably.
Yeah, the sternum, yeah, probably about there. And the soles...
Did you say in the cuffs?
The cuffs as well, yeah, sorry. So I think maybe Shaun went into somewhere with water and he maybe was trying to keep his arms up out of it. Yeah. You know, like if you're... Well,
if you were trying to steady yourself.
Steady yourself, but also because you don't want to get your arms wet. Like, you have to get your body wet because you've got into some water, but you don't want to be totally wet.
And like if it's deeper than you anticipated, I suppose.
Yeah.
You'd be sort of holding your arms up, wouldn't you, going, oh, crap.
Yeah, and for balance,
or
like you say.
Oh, no, I was going to say if he had his phone in his hand, try and keep it, but he didn't have a phone. Maybe his cigarette's trying to keep... No, but he's lost his lighter.
But it doesn't matter that he's lost his lighter, because he probably doesn't know he's lost that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she said that they were crusty with mud, the cuffs. So it was like Shaun had entered one of the boggy holes at some point, and the soles of the trainers were also wet and muddy, and the belt had mud on it too. So police also thought that maybe Shaun had gone into the many bogs on the land they were searching, but they didn't know which one. But if he went into a bog, his soles would be more than muddy. The whole shoe would be drenched.
It'd be...
unless
it would
Nicole
be
saw
completely
it.
saturated, wouldn't it, the shoes?
Yeah, but unless what Nicole saw was... Because... So the trainers and the hoodie were found out with a bog, like at the side. The belt was found somewhere else. So maybe when the shoes were taken out of the bog, the water slipped, the mud and that slipped off the actual top of the shoe, depending on how long they were there. And it was raining.
Or is it just that, you know, when you step in mud and it's sort of that suction thing,
maybe, yeah.
Sucks your shoes off. Maybe because he was trying to keep moving.
Yeah.
Maybe he forced his foot out of the shoes. And, you know, just thought that, well, my shoes are doomed, so carry on, and then it got deep, maybe.
Oh, but the thing is, if that happened, though, the shoes would still be in the bog, or they would have floated to the... I don't know if they would float... No, they wouldn't float to the top, would they? Because there's no air in them.
Well, not if that bit was just shallow enough mud that it wasn't all the way...
No, but it was all the way up.
No, but his next steps would have been... Do you know what I mean?
No.
So if he was just in a bit of mud with the shoes, and they sort of got sucked off, but then he took his next steps and didn't realise it was going deeper, so they'd be on the shallow bit, wouldn't they? But this is just all speculating.
It's all speculation. And, you know, once you guys hear these cases, we want to hear your speculations.
I'm just trying to get a visual in my head.
So,
but it sounds like, why?
So the police decided that if they could find the bog that he was in, maybe they'd find Shaun.
Okay.
And you think, well, how on earth are you meant to know which bog it was? Yeah. Well, they found out by looking to an expert for help, who was, Professor Lorna Dawson, a forensic scientist at the James Hutton Institute. And I'm just going to sidebar a minute, because I'm going to toot her horn, because, I mean, it's been tooted a lot already, but I'm going to toot it some more. She is a bloody rock star in her field, which, please pardon the pun there, but honestly, I feel a bit fangirly about her because she's just amazing. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Lorna Dawson, Professor Lorna Dawson. So she holds a BA in Geography with honours from the University of Edinburgh. She has a PhD in Soil Sciences from the University of Aberdeen. From Cardiff University, she has an expert witness certificate in criminal and civil law, and she has like a whole bunch of letters after her name. Add to that she won an award in the Soil Forensic Expert Witness of the Year in the Corporate International 2021 Global Awards for her forensic research solving major criminal cases, including the World's End pub murders, which is another one of my obsessions. The World's End pub was on the bottom of the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, and it was a pub I used to go into.
No, I know a little bit about that one, yeah.
And if any of you guys don't know it, give it a little Google. Sorry, I'm getting loud and fast now. I'll slow down. She's also done work on the Ben Needham case. Remember the little boy that went missing in Greece like about 30 years ago? British boy.
1990, I think, wasn't it?
Was it?
Something like that.
That wasn't 30 years ago, was it?
35.
Don't. And also she's worked on the Moira Anderson case. And Moira Anderson was a little girl that went missing... Oh, we're talking about 60 years ago, I think. So
she does sound like a rock star.
She is incredible. And if you watch the documentary, She just looks like a normal person, but she's not. She's
Got a
amazing.
cool name too, Professor Lorna Dawson.
You could see her in like, you know, like a TV show where they team up. Silent Witness, something like that.
Yeah.
She was very keen to help out if she could, and she did have the time available, so the clothing was sent to her at the Hutton Institute. And she analysed the soil and other botanical matter on the hoodie. Sidebar again. When she took the hoodie, because you could see the actual hoodie, she got out of the evidence bag to show what she was looking for, and it was just horrible. Like, just the thought. She was able to work alongside a colleague at the time, Professor Alistair Ruffle. So she analysed the soil and the botanical matter, and then Professor Alistair Ruffle did a grid search using ground penetrating radar to narrow down the exact bog, and obviously they were testing the bogs to make sure that they match. I suppose it's like bog DNA.
Bog DNA. I like science. Science rules, kiddos.
Science is amazing. The stuff they teach at school's boring as all sin. But this real getting into soil, you think...
Yeah, what can you tell from soil?
Yeah, you think being a professor in soil's
so
a bit like, really? Okay, I bet you're interesting.
I bet she never washed her hair in soil and grit, though.
Maybe she did. Maybe that's where her love started.
Maybe she saw you do it and went, yes, that's my future.
Oh, you're welcome. But they did. They found the bog that Shaun was in, which just blows my mind. So the dive team, I want to say they were a Navy dive team. I think I read that, but I might be wrong. They were able to go into that bog and potentially find Shaun. So at this point, police are saying to the family, they believe they were really close to finding Shaun because of the scattering of the clothing and because of this bog information. But this wasn't the case. Neither Shaun or any more of his belongings have ever been found. The bog in question was thoroughly searched by the dive team, and while they found, are you ready for this?
Am I ready? I don't know.
It's oh my god. They found the full skeleton of a horse. How deep are these bogs?
Artax.
Oh, you and your films. Artax is the stuff on your roof, isn't it?
No, that's Artax.
Oh.
Artax was the horse from the Never-Ending Story that it died of sadness. It just drowned itself because it was sad.
Oh. Why have you...
Sorry. We're talking about a sad thing anyway. We don't need to be sad.
I know, we don't. And honestly, this case sits with me. I can't stop thinking about it. Anyway, they found that horse. Yeah, and there's, in one article I read, apparently, and I think it must have been this horse, something was found, and an animal was found, and the farmer hadn't seen it for 4 years.
I was going to say, was somebody not missing this horse?
Wasn't sure, Gar. Just makes you think, doesn't it, that there could be stuff everywhere. That, there could be, when people go missing, or, in America, they have that, I can't remember what the company is called, but they do the searches looking for people in cars, and they've solved quite a lot of cold cases where people's cars have gone into water.
Yeah.
And they found,
you see images, don't you, on Google Earth and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a car in that lot.
There's one lake, and I don't ask me where it's in America, that's all I know. And there's car upon car upon car.
But wasn't
in
that
this
some
one
kind
lake.
of mob dump site?
No, this was people. They found somebody, kids going on, I'm saying kids, but old enough to drive, going out on a night out, and then on the way back, something's happened and they've ended up in there. And there's been all this speculation about, was it a serial killer? And some things have been attributed to, it was possibly Israel Keys, for example. And then it turns out, no, they had an accident and they were just never seen again. Blows your mind. But it makes me wonder if Shaun was trying to hide in the bog, to make himself...
as low as possible.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got the threat of somebody coming at you with an axe...
You'll do anything to survive.
You're gonna go extreme, aren't you?
Yep. And it makes me wonder, was he spotted and hauled out by somebody else and forced to get out and told to remove his own clothes? Or...
It doesn't sit right with me that they found the belt. Why
but
would you take your
jeans.
belt off? I don't...
Did somebody have a hold of him by the belt and he unbuckled it to get away?
Or was he trying to use it as a weapon?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, because it would hurt if you scalped somebody with especially the buckle end. The police have said officially that they consider this still to be an open, no foul play missing persons case.
What?
They theorise that Shaun must be somewhere on that land and that he probably succumbed to hypothermia and removed his own clothes, which is common. When people get hypothermia, there's a stage they go through that they feel really, really, really hot and they start taking their clothes off. Now, Charlie and Nicole, however, wholeheartedly believe that Shaun was removed from the property by someone, and so do I. There's too much other stuff for it to be... Put it this way, Charlie's walked the land hundreds of times and he speculates he does not believe that anyone could traverse this land, especially in the dark, the rain and the wind, with no shoes and no top on for a start. And without more evidence to say otherwise, I agree.
And whilst being drunk as well.
Yeah, and terrified.
And terrified, yeah.
Like blind panic. Surely if the hypothermia theory was correct, then where's his body?
Yeah,
he would have been found on the land. And also Charlie mentions that where there's a tree line now, it was a barbed wire fence. So in this state, how would Shaun have navigated that in the dark without leaving behind blood and or clothing?
You just wouldn't.
Oh, I've tried to go over a barbed wire fence stupidly in my younger years and ripped clothes. I've got cuts from it.
I ripped the crotch off my jeans on a barbed wire fence. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, it was taller than I thought. Anyway,
you're only little though. So there would be something left, wouldn't there? There would be something that forensically they could look at. And if we're to agree that he was in the bog and got himself out and took off his clothes, it's unlikely that he would have then put himself in another one, which is the only way I can see that he hasn't been found on that land.
If you were freezing as well and scared, you'd just be curled up in the fetal position somewhere and you would have been found.
Yeah, you unfortunately would have probably died, but you'd have been fine because he's wet. It's like he's soaking wet now.
Yeah.
So then you have to think to yourself, if he was trying to cool down due to hypothermia, where's his jeans?
Yeah.
His socks? His wallet? His pants? His cigarettes to go with the lighter?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. No foul play. I can't get my head around that.
Neither can I, especially when you add to that an axe-wielding guy.
An axe-wielding guy. Somebody else getting hit with an axe. 2 phone calls to the police.
Clothes found scattered.
People running for miles because they're afraid.
Now, I'm going to tell you a few more things that make me believe it's not a no-foul play missing persons case. Right, I'm going to tell you I don't believe in coincidences as well. So bear that in mind. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion here, and Victoria, I'd like you to give yours too, but we don't want listeners to ever take our word for something. Go and do your own research. You can go through our references and things and have a look. Don't make your mind up based on what we're saying, but this is what I think. So while researching for this episode, I found an interesting article, a Press and Journal article. At 3:44 a.m. on Friday the 7th of November, so that was day 5 of the search for Shaun, a 999 call was made reporting that 2 large sheds in the stricken area were on fire. According to Joshua King's article, which came out on the 7th of November, within the sheds were canisters containing chemicals including acetylene, which is really dangerous when unstable because that shit explodes. So this was less than a mile from where the search was currently going on, so very, very close by. It was under control by 5:45, so 2 hours after emergency services were called. It was under control and nobody was hurt. Now, afterwards, the police said that, quote, they have no clarity regarding their cause. And, obviously people were asking, so their stance is they did not believe it was linked to Shaun's disappearance. So that's cool. That's got nothing to do with this case.
What?
Or, well...
So that's a week after he's gone missing.
And the day
within
after,
a mile.
Yep, and the day after his clothes were found. Now, I will say this.
They've burnt up.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's horrible.
This is speculation in my own view. So I'll go first and then you can tell me what you think, okay? I find it really strange that this happened to occur when and where it did, and it got me thinking that maybe this fire was set to cover something up. I couldn't find anything else about it. There was one article about it. So were the sheds searched after the fire was out and the chemicals were removed? Because to say that there was no link at all, presumably you need to go in there and find out what's left after this fire. Why was no clarity accepted as a result? Because wouldn't the shed owner need to know? Wouldn't the insurance company want to know? Wouldn't there be licenses and things for having that sort of chemicals? Surely you have to find a source. Chemicals don't just spontaneously ignite. I know that mixing certain chemicals do, but then you would need somebody to mix the chemicals. So, I wonder...
Everything needs a spark though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything needs a...
No. If there's 2 chemicals you can put together, ethylene's one, and I can't remember what the other one is.
Don't give people tips. There may be maybe arsonists.
But if they
listening.
watch season 2 of The Night Agent, they'll know this.
All right.
Great show, by the way. So I think now I'm not suggesting that anybody actually on that night did anything. I don't know. I wasn't there. I know what I think, but I don't know for sure. So this could be anybody who had done this. But did somebody think, oh shit, the clothes have been found, and burn other things in there? Was Shaun's body up there? Was he kept in those sheds? Because if he's not on the land, he must be somewhere else. Now, again, I'm not saying whoever owned the sheds had anything to do with it, because you don't know who's coming and going in and out of places. I just think, how can you say they're not linked? Did you search that? Yeah. I don't think they did. If they're saying by 2 hours after
If they're saying it's just a coincidence, why would they waste the manpower and the money to search it if they're disregarding it straight away anyway?
Well, why would you disregard it?
I blooming wouldn't. I'd have been in there with a fine-tooth comb, but that's me. But
no, but that's probably most police officers.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. Like, well, this might not be related, but let's
dig a bit deeper, because that I just can't. That can't be a coincidence. It can't be. Where was the axe? Did they find the axe? It could have even just been. I mean, all right, a barn fire to get rid of an axe is a bit extreme, but
well, not if you've butchered somebody with something.
Yeah.
And again, not putting this on anybody in particular, but yeah.
As horrible as it is, I think he was probably in there, because
where else could he be?
And like you say, if you're storing dangerous chemicals, you have to store them in a particular way, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. And
there's
you have to have licenses and
stuff.
When you're buying them,
I mean, even custard powder is explosive. It's combustible if you store it wrong. Trust me.
Okay. The second niggle I've got about this whole no foul thing is, so the social media post about the boy being, quote, hit by an axe.
Yeah.
So something did happen with this, and I was horrified during the documentary to see that what I'm about to tell you happened in 2017, and nobody told Shaun's family about this. The documentary maker had to tell him, and the documentary was made obviously after this, because otherwise they wouldn't have known about it. So in 2017, Neil Nuggs Robertson went to trial for attacking somebody with an axe at Kersey Hill Farm on Halloween night 2014.
What?
So he's found not guilty. I don't know.
This is 3 years after.
This is 3 years after, yep. So it was on the same night. It's the reason he ran away. He was found not guilty, and I don't know the details of who was involved or what evidence they did or didn't have, but it makes me wonder how the police can say Shaun's case is no reason to be considered foul play. Makes zero sense to me, because Shaun ran because he and his friends were chased by Neil with an axe in hand. So I'm not making
and he's been
missing ever since.
But he's been charged.
Neil was charged.
So there's enough evidence to charge him. On the same night.
Now, even though they found him not guilty of whatever charge they had him on, how can they say there's no reason to, like, you don't think...
But that's all
connected.
It's all the same axe attack as well. You don't drive your car into a group of people and only the one that's there that's got hurt is, that's part one attack.
Yeah, everybody was part of that attack.
How can they say it's a no?
It just makes no sense. It's stupidity. It makes me think, you're reading the newspaper about this and there's no foul play, but wait a minute, we know this, that and the next thing's happened.
So there's no foul play against the person that's never been seen again, but then there was foul play against the one that's gone to taken them to...
How do you know? So again, I'm not making claims, but I'd like to know what the police have to support their statement of no foul play. What supports it, and how are they so sure no harm came to him at the hands of another, unless they know where he is?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been at the farm at all if he hadn't been driven there. He wouldn't have run, except when he turned up, they were being chased with an axe. Yeah. So surely, at the very least, somebody's culpable for him going missing.
Yeah, he's not been seen because of somebody's actions.
Yeah. And then we have one more thing. There was an incident involving Jay Ritchie. That was one of Shaun's friends. Remember I said they're not related?
And he was in the van, yeah.
He was in the van. And Jay Ritchie landed in prison. He ended up in Peterhead prison. And this really niggles me. So on the 2nd of May 2021, Jay Ritchie was arrested after he drove his BMW X5 at a group of 3 teenagers in a park in Fraserburgh, which led to a man ending up in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary.
Oh.
So I just think this is pathetic, but I'll tell you it. And on the day in question, so the 2nd of May, a female friend of Jay's saw him and 2 other friends while she was walking her dog. She got concerned because she saw that all 3 had blood over their faces, Jay had a cut on his left eye and he was bleeding from one ear. So she thought to herself, like, they've obviously been fighting. So she went over to, probably just to find out the gossip, check on him. So she went over to speak to them. And as she did, two of the men walked away while Jay stayed with her. So he told her that he told her he'd been attacked by a member of Shaun's family who blame him for what happened to Shaun. We don't know who this was, but it did make me think, and I'll caveat again by saying that this is speculation on my behalf, but I wonder, why did this person think this, and is this a commonly held belief within the family? So was Jay the sharer on social media?
Was he the prankster?
Was he the prankster? What was the prank? Was he the one that was attacked by Neil with the knife? We don't know who the victim was.
With the axe.
Axe. I don't know why I keep saying knife.
It's an axe. That's not a knife.
This is a knife. Oh, that film creeps me out.
Apologies to all the Australians now.
Hey, that was a good accent. Or is there something else? So earlier on in the day... No, later on in the day that Jay was attacked, so he was talking to this witness. There were some teenagers at the local park who also noticed that he was injured, and they started to taunt him, laughing at him and teasing that they could, quote, batter him. And he well and truly lost his rag. He got into his BMW X5 and drove it at them in the park repeatedly.
What?
Pathetic.
Taunting teenagers.
Have you never heard of just walk away?
Yeah, or just get your water pistol and...
I know, yeah. And at this point, so if he was ages with Shaun...
I don't know why I said water pistol.
Anyway. Super Soaker 5000.
She knows my weapon of choice.
That's the weapon my granddad used to use to squirt cats that came into his garden and pooped on his plants. Anyway, so at the time, Jay must have been...
A BMW X5 as well, that's a big machine.
It is.
To be driving at kids that make
to be driving at anybody
that poke fun at you.
I just think it's like a loser to me. And I was going to say there, he would have been, right, this is 2021. So in 2014, Shaun was 20. So let's just assume they're around the same age. So that's another 7 years. So he'd have been 27 or 28 at the time. And
when he's driving his car?
When he's driving his car at kids. So obviously he was going up and down this road and it was causing quite a commotion and people were coming out of their houses to see what was going on. And this guy, who is called Maxims Mavro, tried to stop him and to protect the kids. Because even though they're like gobby teenagers, they're kids.
Yeah, that sounds like a superhero name.
It does, doesn't it? Could you imagine him in like an Iron Man suit?
Maybe.
So he stood in the middle of the road, put his hands up, and Jay just drove at him and broke both his wrists.
Oh, gee whiz. He thought he was a superhero. He tried to stop them
with
the force of his hands.
I don't think he realised how much of a...
Loose cannon.
Excuse the F word, sorry. Yeah, loose cannon's a good term. I don't think he realised...
He probably didn't think he'd actually drive.
You don't think somebody's going to drive at you, but he did. And he hit another car and a caravan. But poor Mr. Mavro, he ended up being ambulanced to ARI and they treated him for 2 broken wrists. So in November of the same year, so November 2021, Jay Ritchie was sent to, I think it's a sheriff court maybe, in Peterhead. He was given a 21-month stint in prison, which isn't enough. That's attempted murder, surely.
Yeah.
And then he was banned from driving for 64 months and 2 weeks, which you would hope it would start from the day he was released, but because he can't drive in prison.
It's probably concurrent because they do that and it really
What's the
annoys
point?
me.
Don't do it. They don't give them it.
You can't have a car in prison? Really? Ugh.
And to add to his whole loserness, charges for resisting arrest and threatening behaviour were dropped. So he obviously caused a hell of a scene. And apparently he said something along the lines of, well, if somebody does something to me first, they're kids.
Yeah.
And they're going to taunt you more now because you've behaved like a big old baby.
Yeah.
So it's now 2.5 years later. We've got no answers. Dr. Ruffnell, who I mentioned earlier, he's actually been responsible for finding IRA war graves. And he offered to use a drone to go over the area again to see if they could find something of Shaun.
Oh, drones are becoming so useful. Like it's amazing what they're doing with them. We watched a program about the Royal Air Force on Channel 4. They've basically got drones that are the size of small planes, which are armed. They've got missiles on them. They're unmanned drones. So they're actually flying over countries thousands of miles away, but they're being manned from the UK. It's so clever. It is, honestly, it's so
It
clever.
is scary though, because they're hackable, surely.
I did wonder that, but come on, the MOD, if they haven't got the defence and the cyber defence, then who has? So I just think it's so clever what they can
do freak me out,
and
though.
actually they should be. They probably are utilising drones a lot in police work now, a lot more.
Well,
and
they are.
And they should.
About 6 months ago, there was a whole big thing that in New York, I think in Queens, they kept seeing these unarmed drones and they were coming really, really low to the ground, and people were like, what's going on? And the government wouldn't say what it was. But it was speculated that they were, some of them, believe it or not, have not a sense of smell, but they detect smell. So to do with gases and things like that, that's what people were saying. They can actually do that.
Gas detecting drones.
Yeah, so for...
You're going to have one following you.
Well, don't, because you know I'm scared of drones. One landed in my fringe. It was horrifying. It's not funny. I've got real trauma over that.
See, I have fear of billy witches landing in my hair,
What
but
the
not
heck is a billy witch?
one of those horrible bugs. They're actually called cockchafers, is their real name. I'm not kidding you. And one got tangled in June's hair once.
Oh no, I don't like that. So, Shaun should have celebrated his 30th birthday last year. And I think a lot of people he was friends with are probably around the same age. So maybe, you know, they've got kids and can understand now what loving a child and losing a child feels like.
Well, hopefully they don't understand what losing a child feels like, but...
Knowing the love, yeah. Maybe, is it time to open up? Because somebody has to know something. All this family want to do is bring Shaun home and lay him to rest. Somebody has to know something.
I'm nodding. I don't know why, because you can't see me. No, that I just think allegiances change as well over time, and you will have changed if you were 20 odd?
20, like we were all a bit stupid at 20.
You wouldn't have known the right thing to do.
No,
you can't necessarily be blamed for your actions on a night out where you were all drunk, where you're all probably messing about.
But now you can.
Now you can actually stand up and go, all right, it's time to put that family out of their misery. Give them some sense of something. Just,
you can do it anonymously. You can phone 101 and give information anytime anonymously. Or there is a Find Shaun Ritchie Facebook page. You could go through that. Or failing all that, you can come through us and we'll pass the information on. This family need to know where Shaun is and bring him home.
They don't even need to know what happened necessarily.
No, they want him home.
They just want him home.
Now,
and if you have got children now, then you'll understand. If you lose them for just, if you lose sight of your child for just a second, I've had that feeling when, you're in a shop or something and you go, where are they? And your stomach drops. It's awful. And that's for a moment. Can you imagine living with this for years?
No, I can't. I don't know how they've managed. I'm just realising the time. I think I've given you all the information that I have. I'm going to keep you up to date on anything that comes up, and I will be putting the transcript either on Facebook with the references or on the blog. We are thinking about a blog, so there may be that as well. But just to say a huge thank you for being here and listening to Shaun's case. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Jim. That was great.
We will be back in 2 weeks with Victoria's case, which I'm really excited about.
Dun, dun, dun.
So take care, everybody. Be nice, be kind.
And keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. Bye.
Bye.